You're listening to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and here we discuss topics on personal fitness, well-being, and elevation of mind and body. Join us as we help build and grow a community of real, elevated men and women. If you're currently feeling frustrated, flat, and fed up with life, or want to be a physically and mentally elevated individual, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Elevation podcast. Welcome to the RE family and get ready to elevate your mind and body. Welcome to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'd like to take this time to welcome all our first-time listeners to the podcast, and be sure to stay to the end so I can share all my social media links so you can connect with me as we grow the Real Elevation family. I hope you are well today, guys. We've got a really good show, but before we deep dive into that, I just want to let everyone know who missed out on the latest promotion that we had, which was the Wellness Fitness Formula. If you missed out on that cohort that we just opened and closed recently, fear not, you can still get yourself on that road to rejuvenation and feeling and looking your best, boosting your fitness by accessing my latest book. You can do that by heading over to hendrickholisticfitness.com. You'll there be able to download your free rejuvenation checklist, and also we'll send you out a link where you can get access to my latest book, the No BS Fitness Formula. That is basically the formula that we use when we're talking about the wellness program, the Wellness Fitness Formula program that we were just opened up. So if you missed out on that, but you're still keen to start your wellness and fitness journey before that mad time of year, which is obviously January, where everyone's on that fitness kick, head over to hendrickholisticfitness.com, download your checklist, and we'll send you the link out so you can access the latest book, my latest book, the No BS Fitness Formula. You'll love that book. It's something that I've shared with many, many people, and they've really seen the simplicity and the effectiveness of applying what's inside that book. And it's the framework that we use when we're going through people on the Wellness Fitness Formula. So you're going to get an insight of how we do that by getting yourself a copy of that book. Okay, so I'll leave a link in the show notes so you can obviously find out exactly how to get a hold of that there. So today we're going to be discussing the first of our two-part podcast, and that is the science of successful living simplified. That is the science of successful living simplified. Now, you may have read the original book, which is by Raymond Charles Barker. I think that book was first published in the early 50s, about the science of successful living. But that book mainly comes from a very spiritual perspective, and it's talking about how looking at life through very much a spiritual lens will get you success that you desire, which is very important. However, if you're just starting out on your real elevation journey and you really want to apply some relatable, practical steps, then this two-part podcast is definitely worth listening to. So what do we need to do first of all? Well, I think it's important that we get a clear definition of what success is and what being successful is. There are many interpretations, and I know there are many common interpretations that maybe not what you see as successful, but I'm going to share some of those with you now. Success, or the word success, comes from the Latin successum, or that means outcome, or succedere, which means to succeed. But let me just share with you real quick some common definitions of success. So, the achievement of something desired, planned, or attempted. The gaining of fame or prosperity. I think many of us can relate to that as we've seen what the common definition of success is. And another definition of success is the attainment of wealth, fame, and popularity. Now, they're all common definitions of success, things that you and I can maybe relate to, some maybe we can't. But one definition that I really love, and that's by the late Bob Proctor, and he talks about success being the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I just love that. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So in simple form, that definition doesn't really fit into the category of other forms of or definitions of success. What he's saying here, if you are moving towards a specified goal or outcome, you are successful. And this is what I always share with the people that I work with, my clients, because for the most part, they don't see themselves as being successful. But I tell them they're already ahead of the curve. They're already ahead of the rest of the pack, over the majority of people, because they're taking action. So if you're moving towards your desired goal or desired dream or desired a particular outcome, objective, you are being successful. So really remember that, guys. It's not all about fame. It's not always about prosperity. It's not all about achieving wealth. It's about moving in the direction of your goal. If you're doing that, begin to see yourself as being successful. So it's the science of successful living. I broke it down and simplified it into 4 sections. So we're going to go through sections 1 and 2 today and really unpack simple, applicable things that you can begin to at least consider to live a successful life. So, as you know, many of the principles that I talk about come from a great teacher of mine, which is Paul Chek, and his holistic principles. And he often talks about, and you've heard me say this many times before, about the 4 doctors. And the 4 doctors are the principles that they apply when it comes to helping people heal themselves, get healthy, and live a really, truly healthful and well life. Free from stress, free from worry, free from frustration. And those 4 doctors that they talk about are Dr. Quiet, Dr. Diet, Dr. Happiness, and Dr. Movement. And you heard me overlap with some of my own principles when it comes to keeping it real, when we're talking about realize, talking about eating right, we're talking about keeping active, and we're talking about love. So number 1, what you need to do, start living a successful life, is define what your love is. Define what your one love is. So what am I talking about then when I'm talking about one love? The question that I'm asking here is, what is it that you are willing to work towards? What's your real dream? What's your real motivation? Now, you may be asking, well, why is that important? Why do I need to know what my dream is? Why do I need to know what my love is? Well, when I've worked with people before and they've had outcomes and they want to change, I've realized when it comes to their health and their well-being, they're not in a place where they really want to be. And they come to me, if you like, as their guide, their teacher, their instructor, their mentor, someone that's going to help them get from where they are, point A, to point B. Now, before I started off on my holistic journey, I would, like many other coaches and trainers would do, talk to them about their specific goals, whether that's to lose weight, get themselves toned up, get themselves fit after pregnancy, get themselves stronger, all common goals that many of us can relate to. But what often happened is people would start off moving towards these goals, but then after a period of time, things would change. They wouldn't have the same level of motivation. They'd get distracted or they'd lose interest. And basically they would stop and default to type, and then they're back in that loop again. And that's something that maybe you can relate to. But what I've learned, I'm learning, and I've applied myself, when you have a big enough dream, you don't need a crisis. I know that's a quote and something I share again with my clients. So what I'm saying here, once you define what your one love is, what you want to become, what you want your life to look like, it's much easier to keep moving in that direction. If you love that new image of yourself or that new vision or version of yourself, the instructions and the direction and the advice that me or any other coach is giving you, is imparting on you, is just going to help you, fuel you, and move you towards that goal. Because that dream is so powerful, because that vision of yourself is so strong, because that new version of you is so appealing to you, you're going to start behaving and moving in that direction of your dream. I call it the North Star, your guiding North Star that's pulling you in a particular direction. You want to have your life feel and look a particular way. So that's why it's clear and important to define what your one love is, what it is that you're willing to work towards. Now, some of the questions that you can certainly ask if you are at a stage where you're not sure exactly what your one love is. And I, again, share these questions with many of the people that I work with so they can get a clear understanding or clearer understanding of what their one love is. So certain questions that you may ask to help define your dream is, what is it that you dream about often? So what's on your mind of what you'd like to see come into your experience in your life? What is it that you dream about often? What people would you ideally like to be around? So if you had a choice, people you'd like to spend more time with, who would they be? What do they look like? What makes you feel good? So for you, what is it makes you feel good? I love to listen to music. I love being around like-minded people with the same sort of energy and outlook and frequency of life. So what is it for you? What makes you feel good? What is it that gives you a sense of purpose? So for me, in my journey, it's all about elevating of mind and body through fitness as a vehicle. That's what is my purpose. That's what I want to do, and want as many people as possible to experience better health and well-being through holistic living. And what is it that you're passionate about? So for you, what do you feel like real passion about when you speak to people or share certain situations or stories with people? What is it that you're really passionate about? And another question which is quite important is in terms of what level of responsibility are you willing to accept? So how many people do you want to work with, or how many people do you want to oversee? How many people do you want to impact? These are all questions that I share and discuss with my clients when I'm working with them. Why? Because it's helping them to define their love. Why is that important? Because, as I said, it's going to move them in the direction. It's going to keep them moving towards their new version of themselves, that new vision of themselves. If they can clearly define what people are like to work around, what gives them a sense of purpose, they're the things that's going to move them towards their end goal. When I'm giving them the advice, when I'm giving them insights and tips, they're more likely to keep that motivation, they're more likely to keep that enthusiasm and doing the things that I'm asking them to do, because change takes energy. You've heard me say this before. If people are in an old way of doing things, they've got specific thought patterns, they've done things for a long period of time. When I come along and I invite them to try doing things in a different way, it's quite difficult. But what makes it a lot easier, if they have a clear sense of purpose, they understand, right, this is where I am now, I don't like this, but I'm going to actually move towards that place because that is something I really want to do. So, number one, science of successful living simplified, define your one love, define your dream. Okay, moving on to number 2, food fueled for success. So, food fueled for success. Eat and drink right for you. So when you're eating the right kind of food for you, you will be on that road to successful living. Now, you've heard me say this many times before, and I'll say it many times again, no doubt in the future, and that is, you are what you eat. I'll say that again. You are what you eat. If there's one thing that you take away from listening to this podcast today, remember that rubbish in equals rubbish out. If you're not eating the right kind of food for you, you're going to accelerate aging. You're going to feel tired. You're going to have low energy. You're going to lack concentration. You're going to feel demotivated. So it's important to stay away from those foods. And we all know what those foods are: highly refined, highly processed, high toxic ingredients. Those foods you will always encourage me to minimize, if not completely eliminate from your diet. Because we know now, guys, it's no secret that the quality of the foods that we eat impacts in every area of our life. You've heard me speak about it before. this increase that we've seen in recent years with certain conditions such as ADHD, mental health disorders, anxiety, depression, the studies are coming out now, all leading back to our source of fuel. How we are fueling our bodies and how that impacts our gut health impacts all areas of our life, physical, mental, emotional. So if you want to live a successful life, you want to be doing things that are going to help to enhance your chances of living a successful life, and that's fueling your body for success. Now, it's eating and drinking right for yourself. Now, it takes a level of responsibility. It takes an elevated level of understanding to learn about you. I've got no issue with different diet books, different diet plans, and different types of eating patterns, whether it's ketogenic, paleo, the list goes on and on and on. But in all of that, you have to learn about what is right for yourself. What is right for Mr. Brown doesn't necessarily mean it's right for Mr. Smith. You have to have your own self-awareness, better understanding of yourself, so you can make choices that's going to support you on your journey. Not what anyone else does, what's right for you. What's the best food that are going to help you live a successful life? So a question that you can ask is, what foods to best support your body for way of living? Is it a blend of meat foods? Is it a blend of plant-based foods? You have to understand that. Now, one of the things I do with my clients is go through a series of questions and asking them about their primal eating type. What foods are going to work better for them? Once they understand, is it better proportion of carbohydrate foods? Is it better portion of foods that are meat-based? Or is it a blend of those two? You have to learn and understand that, and you can find that out by going through a series of questions. If you do want to find a little bit more about that, again, drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to schedule a call with you, and we can go through a little health appraisal, which will help you to understand yourself a little bit better. But the point here is, if you're living a successful life, you have to fuel your body, as I touched on. When you're eating the right types of food, when you're eating in a way that's going to allow you to have high levels of concentration, high levels of focus, be more energized, slow down the aging process, help you feel more invigorated, help you with your digestive health, you are going to be living a successful life. You're going to be able to do the things that you want to do. Your body's going to be serving you and not hindering you, helping you live that life that you want to live. So fuel your body for success, eat and drink right for you. So that is the two areas that we're sharing with you today. Firstly, we're talking about define your one love. What's your dream? What is it that you want to be known for? What is it that you want to move towards? Who's that new person that you can become and love and fall in love with? As I said, for myself, I was in a period of time for a long even though I was always in fitness, I was just drifting along, not really doing things with a direction and purpose. But when I clearly defined and I got into my head that I really want to help as many people as possible, I want to impact as many lives as possible, that gave me the fuel to start taking action and behaving and producing in a particular way. Secondly, fueling your body for success, eating and drinking right for you. Learn about your foods. Learn what is good source of food. Learn about organic foods. Learn about foods that are locally sourced. Drinking water from the ideal source, not tap water. Make sure that water is filtered. It's spring or mineral water. Making sure you've got the best ratio of plant and animal foods or meat foods. What is right for you? These are questions that you have to answer for yourself. And when you do, you learn about your body, you learn about yourself, and you start moving in the direction of being successful. Remember, we talked about what is success, and that definition I really love. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's not just about wealth, not just about health, not just about popularity and status, This is what successful living is. So we're going to be back next week with part 2. We've discussed about food. We've discussed about defining your dream. But let me know what you think. Is this something that you believe that you can apply when it comes to science of successful living? Remember to reach out to me. You can catch me on all these socials. You can catch me at Hendrix Holistic 44 on Instagram, Mike Hendrix on LinkedIn, and Mike Bobby Hendrix on Facebook. Catch me on there, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just type in Hendrix Holistic and you'll see me pop up there. Connect with me which any way you can, and I want to hear what your thoughts are. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe as we grow the Real Elevation community. Those of you who've left a review and rated the show, I really appreciate that. So really showing love. I love the fact that you're doing that. So that's truly appreciated. So until next time, be sure to join us on this second part of this podcast, Science of Successful Living. Be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it real. And this is Mike sending blessings and chi and peace. Until next time, take care.